Hold up. Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Costa at my Dillsburg location, coming off a really long day. It's closing up now. We just changed the Marilube's hours from 10 to 7 to 9 to 6, so we're actually closed right now, whereas typically we would be open. Day started out a little bit crazy. We had to fire someone this morning, which is never fun. Firing people is probably the worst part of business ownership, but sometimes it has to be done. My day started off with a phone call to a merchant service company called First American Payment Systems. If you Google them, they have the worst reviews. It is a company that I inherited from the previous owners of Quick Change in Harrisburg. It was a really bad deal that they made. The previous owners of Quick Change, super short-term minded, did not make very many good deals. And I finally was able to unwind it, but it sent my blood pressure through the roof this morning, having to deal with merchant services. Basically what your merchant service provider does is they process your card swipes, and my card swipes were not being done through this service provider. I actually had sent them basically $3,000 over the past 2 years without using their service once. When I bought Quick Change, it was embedded in the contract, the asset purchase agreement, that I had to assume the merchant services. They rushed my application through and renewed it. The original owners only had 1 year left, and I said I would honor the last year. But the merchant service provider actually rushed through the application and then signed me up for a 3-year renewal, which I am now in year 3. Well, not anymore as of this morning. Long story short, after giving away about $3,000 without using their service once, I called up my bank and I had them block the transactions. And as you could guess, that didn't go over too well with them, and they wanted to send the balance to collections, and we ended up negotiating down an exit price, and I was able to get out of it. Which is good, but it was a little bit annoying and stressful morning, especially after having to fire someone. The second most exciting, or third most exciting thing that happened today was one of our popular filters had a recall from the manufacturer. It's Service Champ filter CF5436. This filter is a lot of GMs. It's a very popular filter. This is considered a cartridge filter. Cartridge filters go in the top of the vehicle, except for on some Toyotas they still go under, but they're in a housing as opposed to having its own housing. I had to contact all my locations, all my employees, make sure they kept an eye out for these particular filters. They are on recall for some kind of defect, and they are not to be used going forward. It's okay though, because of my wholesale business that I do online, I carry a lot of other performance filters, so I always have them in stock. Right here is a Mobile One full synthetic filter. Now this filter that has a recall is good for 4,000, 5,000 miles, and then it'll start to disintegrate and fall apart. These Mobile One full synthetic filters are good for up to 15,000 miles, so they cost a little bit more, but it's more important to make sure the product going in the customer's car is a good product. So I had no problem having my guys put in these performance filters, which normally we would charge money for, but given the circumstances, it's not really their fault that our manufacturer had a recall. Doing a lot of end of year stuff, getting our schedule ready. I like to print out online. You can print out calendars, and I have all my employees kind of put in what days they want to work. I'm really flexible with my employees. I really want them to enjoy coming to work, so I let them a lot of the time set their own schedules as long as they're meeting, as long as we have full coverage and as long as they're meeting the hours that we need. I have a lot of flexibility with my guys, which I think lets them enjoy their job a little bit more than some other people would in this particular industry. Um, End of year stuff is basically going over the numbers, bookkeeping, and just kind of seeing, projecting out this year, volume, things like that. If you take the time to actually do these things, you can use it as leverage for deals going forward. My numbers are a little bit skewed because I've opened up 4 stores in the past 2 years. So every time I project something out, it's always a little under projected. So I'm always renegotiating deals, which is all right because that's the fun part of being a business owner, is renegotiating deals. We've recently switched oil providers, which is probably the biggest event you can do in this particular industry. We went from Sunoco to Pennzoil, both perfectly fine oils. Pennzoil is probably a more recognizable brand, except for on the East Coast, Sunoco has gas stations everywhere, so very popular. But my stores are in Pennsylvania, so Pennzoil employed a lot of people in this area, so a lot of people have good experiences with Pennzoil. Other than that, behind me right here, I have our online shipments for the day, stuff going to from eBay and Amazon. Mostly Mobile One full synthetic filters. We got some other miscellaneous automotive products that we have here in the store. One thing I did when I first took over Quick Change, when I only had the one store, was I kind of wanted to see how I could scale it. Scaling this business is difficult because there's a geographical barrier. There's only so far someone will drive for an oil change, regardless of, you could be giving them away for free, but someone's not going to drive 70 miles for a free oil change. So scaling this business is difficult. There's really 3 major places where people get their oil changes done. You get your oil change done at the dealership, you can get your oil change done at yourself, or you can get it at a Quick Lube. Quick Lubes are the vast majority of oil changes, and then the do-it-yourselfers, and then the dealerships. There's a very small percentage of people that go to full-service shops. It's just not something people like doing. People don't like appointments. People don't like waiting in line. People don't like waiting 2 weeks to have to get an oil change. So people are more likely to either do it themselves or come to a Quick Lube. So what I wanted to do was figure out what's the best way to cross over and get the people that do it themselves. And I looked at my major expenses. I looked at everything that I buy a lot of. I buy a lot of oil. I've got tanks behind me with hundreds of gallons of oil. And I've got hundreds of filters on the shelves behind me. And I buy chemicals like fuel injector cleaner and brake fluid and all these. How can I scale this? And the most obvious answer was just to try and create an e-commerce business of some sort based around the things that I get really good margin on. And then the margin will drive better margin because the volume will increase from the online sales. And that's exactly what's happened over the past year. And I'll continue to do that even though I'm selling my filters at like a 10% markup because it's mutually beneficial just to get the added margin, because every year I'm able to go back to my filter provider and say, hey, look at how much I bought from you. What brakes can you give me on these prices? And then you get the brakes, and then that rolls over into your brick and mortar business, which has been kind of the name of the game. The other thing that's going on right now is we are going to, now that I have 4 stores, I'm making my footprint. The Chicago store, the Pittsburgh store, the Dillsburg store, and the Harrisburg store are all going to be renamed. We're going to start in Dillsburg. Previous owner of Dillsburg, if you want to read my Medium post on that situation, that was a fun story. This will be the first store for the names change, because it will be the best thing that could happen to this store is to disassociate with the previous owner. I had some of my managers test names with customers, and none of the customers know my name, which is technically Constantine, but everyone calls me Costa. But they wanted to go with Costa Quick Change. I like Costa Oil. There's a Costa Oil in Miami. That's a marine oil company of some sort, but so they already have the name. But we're gonna go with Costa Quick Change. I have some logos made on Fiverr. Fiverr is fantastic. If you don't know what Fiverr is, check it out. If you're a business owner, Fiverr is invaluable, especially for social media marketing. But we're gonna go with Costa Quick Change. It's easy for the Harrisburg store because Harrisburg is quick change oil. My phone's in reverse, so this will be in verse. So that store will be easy. We're changing the color scheme too. We're gonna do black and yellow. That's gonna be fantastic for the Pittsburgh store. But the Amerilube is red, white, and blue, American flag colors, and Quick Change is blue and white. So that's gonna cost a little bit of money in paint. Actually, probably not too much money if I do a lot of the stuff myself, and I'll probably do a lot of the stuff myself because that's one of the best ways to save money. Because when you don't have money, you have your time, and it's a value prop. And so that's really it. I'm gonna do another video with a year recap, 2016 year recap, which is my first full year of self-employment. No other W-2 work, no other, no months that were not my own business. So that'll be coming probably soon. I'm going to do some more videos about how I bought the business. Oh, another exciting thing is my book's being released. I think it's funny, there's a huge fad right now online of people, hucksters on Instagram selling life coach, 22-year-old life coach, and they've never actually done anything other than sell life coach lessons, and they want to call themselves like entrepreneurs and business owners. It's kind of ridiculous. But and everyone wants to learn how to do screen printed t-shirts, so they want to sell a private label product, and all the private label product is private label product is finding an existing product and finding a company that manufactures it, and then they'll also just slap a label on it, and you can pretend that it's your own proprietary item. Private label's fine. I'm actually going to do some private label just because I want to have my own line of filters once I create a franchise. But so private label's fine, but it's not the same. Like, there's too many people online trying to convince you that it's super easy to build a funnel, get more website clicks, get ad revenue, YouTube revenue, all this stuff. And it's just not practical. One in every 100,000, I don't even know the numbers. Not many people will ever actually get passive income from t-shirt funneling and sunglass sales or being a YouTube motivational speaker, life coach, all that stuff. The only reason I wrote a book was because I have now bought 4 brick and mortar businesses. 2 of them for $0, literally nothing, and then the other 2 for very little money. And there's this big misnomer that you need a ton of money in order to buy an existing business. You don't. You really don't. You just need to know what to look for, and that's kind of what the book is about. Is all the resources that I use to find these businesses. I owned a vape shop in Baltimore for a while that I also got for pretty much nothing. And, there's not much to it. You just need to know what to look for. And if you're the type of person like me, like I suffocated working for other people. It wasn't good. Like, I wasn't a good employee. I got fired a bunch of times, and I almost got fired a bunch of times. And, it just should have been a lot obvious a lot sooner. But there's a lot of external pressures. There's a lot of people that don't want you to take the risks that you need to take to live the life that you want to live. And honestly, when I finally was 100% self-employed, my quality of life just dramatically just went off the charts. It was incredible. And it's funny because you give up a lot of money sometimes. Some people do, some people don't. If you're already not making money, then there's really no risk. But if you're making a lot of money, then I guess there's some risk, at least stability, and then obviously the external factors, your parents, your girlfriend's parents, your wife's parents, people that want to pressure you to do the safe thing. But, at the end of the day, you've really got to do what's going to make you happy. And that really comes down to self-awareness. If you really know yourself, it's really easy. But if you don't, it can be difficult. It took me a little longer than I wanted. wish I never had to work for someone else, but I had these ideas in mind of what, it seems like a cop-out, but society puts these standards in place. You go to college. I went to college, and I went to college 3 times. I got 2 master's degrees. And I thought I would needed to get a W-2 job, and I did, and it sucked. It was terrible. But now here I am. This is my favorite store. It's the closest one to my house. I like hanging out here. I like hanging out with my employees, and I like being able to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to Harrisburg today. I'm going to hang out with Walt. Or, hey, I'm going to go to Chicago next week. I'm going to hang out with John. Or, I'm going to go to all of my stores this week. Or I'm not going to go to any stores this week. I'm going to sleep until 10 o'clock every day and then work until 3 in the morning. That's fantastic. And I really hope a lot of people out there want that, because it's fantastic. It really is. That's really it. I gotta get going because it's pretty late now, and I do have a 50-minute drive home. That's something I sacrificed, as I wasn't able. I live in Maryland, the People's Republic of Maryland. It's not easy to do business in Maryland. The vape shop didn't last because of it, and other reasons, but I went where the opportunity was, and that's part of the reason why I was able to get the business for free, is because you have to go where the opportunity is, and mine just happened to be in Pennsylvania. It was close enough to make it worthwhile, but not so far that it was not worthwhile and a huge burden. So I am 50 minutes away, but my friends who live in DC or live in the Maryland suburbs and work in DC know is you could be going 20 miles and it might take 2 hours. You could be going 5 miles and it might take 1 hour. So I'm not too upset about it. I get to go down Route 15. I love Route 15. My college was on Route 15. It's a fantastic little stretch. And then I go through a town called Littlestown, and then I'm home in good old Carroll County, Maryland. So it's not too bad at all. But that's really it. I'll probably try to be putting out a video every single day. I'm putting out written content, ton of written content. I think that's my best medium. I'm not really good on camera, so I don't think that's my strong suit. But I will continue to put the videos out, because it is the easier way to go on one of these rants. But until next time, you can check out my written blog, justmylastname.com. You can pre-order the book, Zero Down Business, How to Buy an Existing Business with Little to No Money, at capthanasis.com/book, capthanasis.com/book. It's going to be on Amazon soon. I don't know when that's going to happen. The publisher takes care of that, so I'm not too worried about it. And then if you are in the area and in an oil change, you can go to costaoilchange.com. I'll talk to you guys later.
She say that she a wanderlust, but she ain't seen the world so much to do at 21. You feel invincible, so hard to find someone to trust. She's still a daddy's girl, she wanna be an actress and a singer like Selena. And she a movie buff, but she ain't seen Breakfast at Tiffany's or Breakfast Club. That's just before her time, so hard to keep a conversation when your mind's on vacation. You got pretty green eyes, I can see them dollar signs, girl. Oh yeah, I heard that you addicted to them sands now.